Hey, life hackers, it's Demir from Lifehack Method. How many times have you fallen off the horse? Just fell down and went into a productivity death spiral for days, maybe even weeks. Now, if you really want to master your peak productivity potential, you got to be able to get back up on the horse. As a productivity coach, I'm always battling these false but powerful narratives about productivity. And probably the most harmful one is the idea that if you're going to be productive, you got to turn yourself into a robot, a cold, hard, working machine operating without any emotion. And what is so harmful about that idea is it implies that the answer to getting more productive is to kill off all your emotions, just become a robot. But you're not a robot, and you're never going to be a robot. The truth is actually completely the opposite. To become more efficient and more productive, you actually have to become more emotionally intelligent, especially when it comes to yourself. You see, your productivity is not divorced from your emotional state. Great productivity is a result of a resilient emotional state. Let's take a great example of this in action: getting sidetracked at work and suddenly feeling overwhelmed. Feeling overwhelmed is an inherently emotional circumstance. Robots and computers, they don't get overwhelmed. They hit an obstacle and they just keep going, whether it takes a minute or a month to solve the problem. They don't stop, they don't feel depressed, they don't get overwhelmed, they don't get stressed, they don't get angry, they don't get fed up. But we do, all the time. Constantly, we know what it feels like to be lost in the middle of a workday. It's like, I had a plan, but I can't remember what it was, or I'm getting pulled in every single direction. Gang, we all know that frustration, or even the depression that we can fall into when we look at all of our priorities for the week and we just feel like we're falling behind instead of moving ahead. And that's when we crash. That's when we cannot cope emotionally and we just fall apart, or we even just disconnect. Now, some of us are better at hiding it than others, but it's still happening under the surface. This is the moment for the reset. This is the moment we have to get back up on the horse. And I wish it were that simple, right? It's not really as simple as saying, I'm just going to get back on the horse. Think about it. If you really got thrown off a horse and that bruised up and bloodied half of your body, your brain would be screaming, don't get back up on that horse. Because if your brain has evolved to do one thing, it's this: keep you alive. And getting back on that horse would require you to override all of your brain's protection mechanisms. And it's the same with your work. You might need your work, you might even love your work, but your work hurts you. It causes stress, it causes heartache and anxiety. It makes you frustrated. The problem is your lizard brain doesn't realize that it's necessary to push through this pain. It just sees the pain and it works overtime so hard to convince you to avoid the pain. That's why we go into a spiral when we fall off the horse. That's why it's so hard to reset and get back on the horse, because our brain thinks that we're hurt and it's trying to protect us. But gang, have we actually been hurt? I mean, are you bleeding? Are you broken and bruised? No. In fact, some people in life love this. They love facing obstacles. They love solving problems. They find it exciting and even fun to hit an obstacle and break through it. But others get frustrated. They get depressed. And it's really just a matter of how our lizard brain processes it. If our lizard brain thinks we're hurt, it's going to make us run in the other way. But if it thinks we're having fun, we're solving a problem, we're on the cusp of a breakthrough, or even that we're enjoying the process, it helps us dig in deeper and find new reserves of strength. Somebody once asked the Dalai Lama, do you ever get depressed? And he said, of course I do, but I don't get depressed as often. I don't spend as much time down there in that low place, and I get back up more quickly. He also said, we're adding to our pain and suffering by being overly sensitive, by overreacting to minor things and taking it too personally. So how do we short circuit this mechanism? Here's 3 tips to reset yourself quickly and jump back up on the horse immediately without going through the downward spiral. First, when you know that you're going to fall, just fall more quickly. I know that's crazy, but it's true. Don't try to hold on to the ride if it's getting too crazy. Sometimes it's better to stop, breathe, reapproach the ride with a better strategy. You're not doing yourself any favors getting whiplash for days and days and days. It's exhausting. But we tend to just hold on for dear life. We're terrified of admitting that we're going to fall. And I just say fall. Because when you make that decision, you're falling on your terms. You're choosing the right place and the right time to fall down and reset. Gang, it's better to step away during a lunch break, go for a walk, rather than explode on your coworkers at that 3 o'clock meeting. And that leads to my second tip. Learn how to fall without hurting yourself. Just like a stuntman learns to fall from a 2-story building without hurting himself, you can actually learn how to fall off the horse. This is something you can actually get better at. And the better you are at falling, the less that you fear falling. And when you stop fearing it, your lizard brain will stop working against you so hard. All right, so how do you fall better? That's my third tip. Have a reset ritual. A reset ritual is a preset ritual that you do when you need to reset. And it helps to have a cheat sheet to do this. And the good news is I've created it for you. It's called the Overwhelm cheat sheet, and it's linked in the description. And then fourth, get back on the horse quickly. Every minute you spend in negative thinking threatens to send you deeper into the spiral. So like the Dalai Lama says, spend as little time on the ground feeling sorry for yourself as possible, because you're just confirming to your lizard brain that you did get hurt, which does way more harm than good in the long term. All right, there you go, team. That's your tips to get back on the horse more quickly and even be excited about getting back on the horse. Now, before I go, I just want to talk about that Overwhelm cheat sheet from tip number 3. There's a link to that below in the description, and it is a step-by-step ritual to overcome overwhelm and get back on the horse. Step 1, acknowledge the feeling of overwhelm. The first step is just to feel it, acknowledge it, stop and just say to yourself, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling hopelessness. My heart is racing. Whatever it is, just say it out loud. I'm feeling lost. I'm feeling depressed. Step number 2, thank the overwhelm. And this sounds so weird, but it's true. Take a moment, thank that feeling, because what's really happening is your lizard brain is trying to protect you. So thank you, lizard brain. I recognize you're trying to protect me. Step number 3, change your state. Take 20 deep, focused breaths, and for the first 10 breaths, just scan your body from top to bottom and notice what you're feeling in every single part of your body. Tension, stress, anxiety. Then for each of the last 10 breaths, name one thing you're grateful for. My health, my wife, my success, even just that it's a nice day outside. And step number 4, replace the negative inner dialogue with some kind of positive dialogue. I say extremely positive. Even if you don't believe it, tell yourself something like, I'm enough. I know exactly what to do. I am confident. Listen, I get it. It sounds totally woo-woo, but I promise you, you do those 4 steps and you will feel completely different. Okay, team, listen. It's not possible to stop being emotional. It's part of who we are. But we know that we can train ourselves to be more emotionally intelligent and more resilient. And that's the key to getting back on the horse. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're obsessed with human potential like we are, then consider subscribing to this channel so you can get more of this in the future. See you in the next video.